Process of making port. Port is made in the southern portion of Portugal. There's several different types of grapes that go into it. The easiest ones for me to remember are Touriga Nacional as well as Tortuga Franca. There's also a Tinta Chao and Tinta Roriz are some of the more popular varietals that go into it. Now there are two different classifications for port. There is the Ruby style, and there is also the Tawny style. I find an easy way to remember or to differ between the two is that I think of like a bottle of ruby red soda. And the reason I do that is because ruby ports, they take bottle aging. So that's where I get the bottle from. And as it slowly ages, the more the dominated the red fruits you're going to find in the front half slowly age and dissipate, and will create these fantastically aromatized wines as they age. Now the other type of style is Tawny Ports, and those are where they're going to go through an oxidative aging process, or they're aged in casks, so oxygen is allowed to flow into the wine, and then once they're bottled up, they actually don't increase with age as they're bottled. Now a lot of times a Tawny will state a year or date. It doesn't typically mean that it's from exactly that vintage, but it's the house's style from roughly around, for example, like a 10-year Tawny. It may only be from maybe 8 years, but it'll be characteristic of a style of Tawny that has been aged for 10 years. Something to easily remember is the law of the third. They actually call it tiro de terrago over there. And the reason why it's easy to remember is the house can only sell a third of its inventory that following year. So therefore it ensures that they keep blending over a certain amount of time. Now it's also easy to remember the law of the third because in regards to fortification, they add what's called an aguardente, or their neutral grape spirit, which is about 75% or 77% in alcohol by volume. They add that when a third of the grape sugar has been reduced, and therefore when they fortify the wine, at the time the wine is about 11%. After they fortify it, the wine ends up reaching around 20% in alcohol by volume. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. As opposed to the law of the third, they actually do it to a 1-to-4 ratio. So you change the formula to 1-to-4. So by 1 for every portion of aguardente, there's 4 parts of port. It neutralizes it a little bit, but it doesn't necessarily kill a lot of the sweetness, because port is still very, very sweet. That's just used to strengthen the wine and bolster the wine. Gives it a lot of aging potential. In addition to ruby ports, there's also a separate classification for Tawny Ports. Tawny Ports are look a little bit more to the golden style. They're going to be a little bit lighter. They're going to show a little bit more of the oak characteristics as opposed to the fruit characteristics of port. There is the basic level Tawny, which a lot of times works very well as an aperitif because it's a little bit lighter in style. There is also the Colheita Tawny, which sees a minimum of 7 years of aging, and there is also a Tawny with an indication of age, typically 10, 20, 30, or 40. And those will be expressive of, it's multi-vintage, but it's going to be representative of what the IVDP thinks a Tawny should taste like at the 10-year, 20, 30, and 40-year level. Now in regards to prices for those, your basic everyday aperitif Tawny, you can find a fantastic aperitif style for $20 or under. Once you start getting into the Colheita Tawnies, which declare a single vintage, you can start getting a little bit more expensive, $30 to $40. And then once you start getting into wines that are the ports, or the Tawny Ports with an indication of 10, 20, 30, 40, you're just going to increase in price. 10 years, you can probably find a good one for 30 to 40. 20, you're looking more $50 to $60. 30, you're over 3 digits. And then once you get to the 40 mark, you're looking close to around 200 or more. When to pull out a nice 10 or 20 or 30 or 40-year port? I'd say the best time to pull it out is any occasion to drink a fantastic port. But if I was doing a dessert style dish, Tawnies just work exceptionally well with chocolate. Chocolate is one of my loves, and port just accentuates it. The light bit of, for example, a 10-year is going to show a little bit more of that red style fruit in the head. So I'm thinking like chocolate and strawberries, chocolates and raspberries work very, very well. As you slowly move up the scale, the 20 to 30 to the 40 range, it doesn't really need a whole lot. It can go on by itself, but again, more of those chocolate. I would say more to the hazelnut, coffee, and toffee notes as the wine ages more.